Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending on when you're watching. It's Miss Bowmeister. I'm going to teach you today how to draw and cut a pumpkin using a technique called Notan. And this is a Japanese style of art making, which is using the difference between light and dark to create an image. Notice both orange and black parts of this image are exactly the same. So every time you see a black space, there is that same space on the opposite side in orange, and vice versa. So when I see orange on this side, I see that same shape in black on the other side. You don't have to use orange and black as your colors. I decided to because I wanted to make a pumpkin image. Your image can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to make something festive for Halloween, I suggest an orange shape or a pumpkin shape. If you want to create something else, go for it. I'm going to show you by making my largest shape first and then making a smaller shape. I suggest watching this video before you start and then follow along the video as you create to help answer questions as you go. So when I create this piece of art, I'm going to use one piece of orange paper or whatever color paper you want that is exactly half the size of my background paper. So I have a black piece of paper that's 9 by 12, and this piece of orange paper is just half that size. So it is, instead of 12 inches across, it's 6 inches across. And like the black paper, it's 9 inches high. So again, my black paper is 9 by 12 inches, and my orange paper is 6 by 9 inches. Okay, let's get started. So for my Notan image, I'm gonna start by just drawing on my orange paper. And I'm gonna pick one side that all of my shapes that I draw, they're gonna start and end on that side of my paper, because I'm going to actually cut out that shape, and that shape will then be used on the other side of my image. Let's watch how that will work. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to draw my shape, my pumpkin shape. It's going to be like half a pumpkin, so I'm thinking about what that looks like. Do I want some ridges on my pumpkin shape? Go for it. And I'm drawing this pretty big. I'm trying hard not to touch the edge of my paper. I want a nice big open shape, and I still want space in my background. Not a lot of space, but there's some space there. I have a border. Awesome, I have that set. The next thing I'm gonna do is I am going to start to draw some designs in my pumpkin. If I want it to look like a face, I can make it look like a face. If I want to just make some abstract shapes, that's okay too. But here's something you need to keep in mind. Every time you draw a shape, it needs to start and end on the same side of your paper so that you can cut it out. So I'm going to just draw I'm going to draw a line shape because I want it to sort of look like a line. But when I cut this out, I want to be able to take it and glue it on. So I'm going to then come back and make this line shape a little bit thicker so I can cut it out. It's not too thin. It's about the size of my pinky, so I know I'm not going to lose it when I cut it out. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make another shape that might look like a nose maybe. And then I'm going to make another shape that might look like a mouth. And this shape, because I'm going up and down like this, is going to be a little bit tricky to cut out. So I just need to remember to be patient when I'm cutting things. Okay. I have that done. I might decide to make another shape later, but I'm going to cut this out and see how it looks. So when I cut things out, I want to cut out starting with the biggest shape. So I'm going to cut out my pumpkin. You guys see, I didn't get exactly on the line there, but that's okay. I'm not going to trim it to make it perfect. I am just going to do my best to make sure I'm only cutting out one cut. And if I miss my line a little bit, I'm just going to go with it. I'm not doing any extra trimming because I need to use both pieces of my paper. And if I make some extra trimming, I'm going to mess up my puzzle because I want these to fit back together. Because remember, Notan means equal light and dark. So if I do some trimming on my light paper, I won't have that equal in my dark. So let me show you what this looks like with just two shapes. When I'm all done cutting, I will eventually glue this in the corners of my black paper. And then, once I have it, there we go. And then I'll take the rest of my paper and I'll make sure it fits in. It does. It's in the right spot. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pretend that it's on a hinge here. This line right down the middle, I'm going to pretend that's a hinge, like a doorway. And I'm just going to flip that page so it goes on the other side and it lays flat just like this. Now this is a very simple Notan right now. It is just black outline of a pumpkin, and then I have my orange pumpkin on this side. I could stop right there. I could be done. I could say, well, that's pretty cool. I don't need to add any more. But it's pretty boring. And I already drew other shapes. So now I'm going to cut out those other shapes. And I'm going to show you how we're going to flip the shapes back inside to the black pumpkin. And then we'll have black shapes here. So I'm going to start just by cutting out this face, and this is again the part that's a little tricky. I might miss my line a little bit when I'm cutting, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go with it. You can always erase your pencil lines at the end if you still see them and you want to erase them, but I'm not gonna do any extra trimming. No extra trimming. So I'm just cutting this out. I want to stay on here the best that I can. I'm going slowly so I make sure I get it right, because remember, I'm not making any extra trims. Okay, once I have that cut out, let me show you how this looks and then I'll do the rest of my shapes. So remember, it's set up. So this is in the corner. This is set up here. It's on a hinge. It goes out. I start with my biggest shapes first, and then I'll take my smaller shape that I just put out. And remember, I'm going to pretend it's on a hinge, and I'm going to flip it back. And I'm doing my best to make sure all these shapes line up right on that line. And you can see, I have my pumpkin mouth. I'm going to do the same thing for my line for my, I guess it kind of looks like an eyebrow line here, and my nose shape. And then I'm ready to glue. If at any point you guys need to pause this video and work on drawing and then cutting your shapes, please do so. I might be working a little bit faster than you just because I've done this a few times already, but this might be your first time doing a project like this, so it's best to go slow and careful. So I have one shape there, and then I'm going to do my next shape, and I have it. Awesome. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to show you how it's set up again. We already did the big pumpkin. You know where that goes. The mouth is still lined up. And now I can remember, I'm fitting it in like a puzzle, and I'm flipping it like a hinge. I want it to line up just like that. And then again, I'm fitting it in like a puzzle and then flipping it over. The reason why I'm gonna flip it, I'm gonna make sure I'm putting it in like a puzzle and then flipping it over, is because I might accidentally make a little goofy mistake. Like I might try to line it up and I might go like this, and that doesn't match. It's not the same. It's not a mirror image on both sides. So I want to make sure that I'm flipping it so it's oriented the right way, especially a shape like this, because this could be an easy one to goof up. It doesn't look wrong, but it's not exactly the same. And these will look really sharp when they're exactly the same. Okay, so now that I have that there, I might decide to add like an eye shape here. And to do this, I gotta do a little trick. So I'm gonna actually make an extra cut. I'm gonna make a cut that I don't need. Let me show you what that looks like. So I'm gonna draw a little line here, and then I'm gonna draw like an eye shape. Let me show you what I'm gonna do to cut that out. I'm just gonna make a snip here. It's not gonna be a shape that I see, but it's a little snip in my paper. And now I can cut this out. So when I glue this on, I'm not really gonna be able to see where that is. It'll show up a little bit, but that's okay. Now I have that set up, and I can take my eye that I just cut out. I want to fit it in like a puzzle, and then flip it. Try and find that same distance and put it down. Okay, now we're ready to glue. When we glue this, remember, you want to start with the biggest shape first, and the biggest shape is this one. So I'm going to put glue on the edge. Remember when you put glue on something, I know this is probably going to sound like something you've heard before, but I use the edge of my glue stick, and I want to get the outside edge of my paper. I don't need to put it right in the middle. I just need to put it on the outside edge. That's all. And as I do this, I'm going to make sure that I get the little pieces as well, because I have this really thin piece here. Good. Now I can line it up on the corner. I kind of hover before I stick, so I make sure it's right. Corner to corner. And once I have that there, I can smooth it down. Good. Okay. And right now, my pieces kind of moved a little bit, so that's another reason why it's important to go from big to small, so I can get these in the right spot. So I'm gonna do my pumpkin. I'm gonna make sure it's lined up the way it should be, so I know which side to put the glue on. I know it's lined up the way it should be, so now I can flip it over and put glue on the back. It's good to double check that you're putting the glue on the right side, so you don't end up with a gluey top. Okay, and this piece is a little tricky because I have some cuts in it, so I want to make sure I take my time when I'm adding that glue too, so it doesn't come off later. All right, I got that glue on there, and remember, I'm lining it up from this little piece should touch that bottom corner, and this top piece should touch that top corner. And you want to try and lay this down without stretching out your pieces. It's going to be a little tricky. Try your best. Once you have it lined up, and kind of smooth it down. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to double check that these are where they should be, and I can start putting glue on the backs of them. Good. Okay, I'm almost done. Once you have everything glued down, you can turn it over and smooth it over on the back side, and then snap a photo and upload your image to Schoology. I would like the goal for your images here, friends. I think you should have at least 4 shapes cut out of your design. So try at least 4. That's how I know that you really understand this skill and you got it. All right, I have 1 shape left. This is the shape that's tricky. I know I can't put it right here. I have to find the spacing. All right, I think I got it. Now I can flip it, smooth it, make sure everything's really stuck. And now I can snap the photo. It's all done. All right, thanks for watching. I can't wait to see what you make. Have fun.